Well, hello, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to do your March the 22nd Spiritual Principle Day in a meditation. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into the meditation. It is entitled Embracing Our Independence, going right along with our Just for Today for the 22nd. We find that we can be happy in our own skin if we are willing to let go, not in the old sense of neglecting ourselves, but allowing ourselves to experience our freedom. Living Clean, Chapter 4, Letting Ourselves Go. Independence comes in many forms in NA. The most obvious comes in the form of freedom from active addiction, waiting to feel like we can truly make choices for ourselves, independent of our disease, can be like watching a pot before it boils. We get a little freedom when we stop using drugs, but we gain a greater sense of independence by actively participating in our new way of life. We go to meetings, share with other addicts, and read NA literature. Many of us have shared that we don't even recall losing the desire to use. I kept coming back, and I followed suggestions, one member wrote. At some point, I realized it had been weeks since the last time I felt like getting high. Independence in other areas often comes about in a similar way. Many of us had become dependent on so much more than just the substances we used. We relied on defense mechanisms, escapist behaviors, antisocial tendencies, and much more. We may have relied on others to steer our life choices, even in recovery. Steps 6 and 7 help us break our dependence by showing us what keeps us from making our own choices. An addict shared about gaining independence by asking, "What would my life look like if I weren't afraid?" Practicing independence allows us to be creative. In early recovery, freedom sometimes felt like a punishment or a chore because I didn't know what to do with myself. One member wrote, "Deciding to get serious about recovery was one of my first truly independent choices. I got the courage to take responsibility for my life, gain stability, become a part of society. I used to depend on others for everything. Now, people in my life can depend on me." Practicing independence helps us embrace our freedom. Rather than letting the open horizon scare us, I will take the wheel. Rather than letting the open horizon scare me, I will take the wheel and trust my higher power to navigate. I love that word, navigate, but not as much as I love the term higher power and God. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Embracing our independence. It's a work in progress, isn't it? Uh, a person can feel very independent in one area and then very dependent in another area. It's like a balancing act. It's a tightrope that we're walking. And we want to make sure that we have all of the tools that we need to gain balance. Otherwise, what could happen is that we get thrown off kilter and find ourselves trying to pick ourselves back up from possibly even a relapse. Independence and dependence are two things that have to be carefully balanced. And as we strive to go from being dependent individuals and we start walking in our own independence and embracing it, there's a tendency to do what I did when I first got clean. When I realized that you guys were not going to kick me out, that I could keep coming back regardless to whatever mood I was in, I started to run with this sense of independence. And I ran it all the way into the ground. And I didn't care who got in my way, I ran right over them. In my mind, I was embracing my independence, but in reality, I was using, just not drugs. I was using anything that made me feel good, right? And I did a lot of harm. And so God had to draw me back and remind me, I don't know what you think you're doing here, but I didn't clean you up so that you could roll around in the dirt and hurt people. I didn't clean you up for that. I cleaned you up so that you could be of service to others, which means that you have to be able to use your independence in a good way. And so it took some training. It took some pain, some aches, some bruises, some heartaches, some ended relationships for which I was mostly at fault for. And that was all clean. So if you've erred in this way, you won't be the first one and you won't be the last one. But today, on March 22nd, let's make a commitment to do better with our independence, to be more responsible with our independence, and to embrace it in a very healthy, full manner. I know you can do it. I know that with practice, you can do it. Yeah. And you have tons of people around you that love you. And maybe some of those people that you've turned away from in the fellowship are the very ones you need right now. Don't be too proud. Don't be too proud to embrace them back into your life. The therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. I reassure you of that much. Embrace your own independence today. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I'm going to talk to you tomorrow. Leave me a comment down below if you would like to, and as soon as I see it, I promise I will respond. In the meantime, have a beautiful day on purpose. Talk to you soon.